Gary Hoffman had two rules about the cat. The first rule was that the cat was not his. His wife Carol had brought it home in October without what he would describe as adequate prior discussion, and he had made clear from the beginning that his participation in this arrangement was limited to tolerating its existence under his roof. The second rule was that the cat was not allowed on the furniture. The cat's name was Walter. He was a Maine Coon, dark tabby, somewhere between 16 and 18 pounds, depending on the week, with the kind of face that suggested he had heard both rules and found them mildly interesting as a theoretical matter, but had not yet decided they applied to him specifically. Gary was 58 years old and had spent 31 years coaching high school wrestling in a small town outside Columbus, Ohio. He was not, by any reasonable assessment, a cat person. He was a person who got up at 5:30, drank black coffee, watched film footage of opposing teams, and operated on the general principle that things either pulled their weight or they didn't. A cat that spent most of its day sitting in a window looking at the street with an expression of mild disapproval did not, in Gary's framework, pull its weight. He and Walter maintained a respectful distance for the first 3 months. Gary ignored Walter. Walter did not appear to require acknowledgement from Gary or anyone else, and regarded him from various elevated positions around the house with the calm, evaluating expression of a judge who has not yet decided whether the case before him is worth his full attention. Carol found this arrangement quietly hilarious and kept that opinion entirely to herself. In January, Gary had knee surgery. He had been putting it off for 2 years because he didn't have time for it during the season, and then the season ended and he didn't have time for it during the off-season, and eventually his orthopedic surgeon used the word non-negotiable in a tone that ended the conversation. The surgery went fine. The recovery did not, in Gary's estimation, go fine at all. He was home for 6 weeks, largely confined to the couch or the recliner, unable to drive, unable to coach, unable to do most of the things that structured his days and gave him a reason to be somewhere at a specific time. He was, in a word he would not have chosen for himself, stuck. Carol went back to work on day 4. She left him with a cooler of ice packs, 3 days of meals in the refrigerator, a television remote, and Walter, who was presumably unaware of the situation and certainly unaware that Gary had strong opinions about it. On the morning of day 5, Gary was in the recliner at 7:15 with his coffee and his leg elevated, watching film on his laptop when Walter jumped onto the arm of the recliner and sat down. Gary looked at him. Walter looked at the laptop screen with what appeared to be genuine interest in the defensive positioning of a high school wrestling team from Central Ohio. Gary said nothing. Walter stayed for 40 minutes. Then he jumped down, ate his breakfast, and went to the window. If you've been watching this channel and haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit the button. This is exactly what this channel is here for. Day 6, Walter was on the arm of the recliner before Gary had finished his first cup of coffee. Day 7, he had migrated from the arm to the actual seat of the recliner, which he achieved by slowly expanding his footprint over the course of 45 minutes, while Gary pretended not to notice. Day 8, he was on Gary's lap. Gary did not move him. He told Carol about it that evening in the tone of someone reporting a minor logistical development rather than anything of significance. He said the cat had gotten on his lap. Carol said that was nice. Gary said he hadn't wanted to disturb it because it was comfortable and he didn't want to have to adjust the ice pack. Carol said she understood completely and went to do the dishes before he could see her face. Maine Coons are working cats by origin. They were bred in the northeastern United States for a specific purpose, to manage barns and ships and the kind of spaces where usefulness was the only credential that mattered. They are large, practical, and socially attentive in a way that is genuinely different from most other breeds. They do not give affection indiscriminately. They assess situations carefully, identify the person in the room who is most in need of company, and install themselves accordingly with the unhurried certainty of something that has made a decision and sees no reason to reconsider it. Walter had spent 3 months watching Gary from windows and bookshelves. He had noted, with whatever precision a Maine Coon applies to these observations, that Gary was a person who moved constantly and purposefully, and was now, for the first time, not moving at all. He had made an adjustment. He did not make a production of it. He simply showed up on day 5 and expanded his position incrementally each day after that until the situation had resolved itself into something that worked for both of them. 6 weeks is a long time to sit with yourself when you are not accustomed to it. Gary had coached for 3 decades because he liked the structure of it, the daily problem of it, the satisfaction of watching someone improve at something difficult through sheer, repetitive effort. Sitting in a recliner, watching film, without a practice to run it toward, was a different kind of experience entirely. The film had no immediate purpose. The days had no particular shape. Walter gave them a shape. Not in any dramatic way. He was still a cat, still operated entirely on his own schedule, still regarded Gary with the expression of someone who has agreed to a partnership but maintains certain reservations about the terms. But he was there every morning in the recliner. He was there in the afternoon when Gary's knee ached and the television options were limited and the day stretched out in a way that was harder to fill than it should have been. He was there in the specific, grounding way of something alive that requires nothing from you except that you stay put and let it be near you. Gary went back to coaching in March. The team had a decent season. He doesn't talk about the 6 weeks much, and when he does, he describes it the way he describes most things, practically, without editorializing. But Walter still gets on his lap every evening after dinner. Gary still doesn't move him. The rule about the furniture has not been formally revised because Gary Hoffman does not revise rules. It has simply not been mentioned again, which in Gary's framework amounts to the same thing. Carol knows better than to point this out. Walter sits in the window every afternoon and watches the street with the expression of a cat who has seen a great deal, made several sound decisions, and has no particular regrets about any of them. Here's what I keep thinking about. How many of us have the thing we need sitting right there in the room with us, and we're just too busy moving to notice it? Tell me in the comments, has an animal ever surprised you in a way you weren't expecting?